Hey everyone, welcome to Unit 17 in Masonry, building the block corner. We're going to go over uh, some of the details on how to construct it. So by the end of this, you'll be able to lay out the first course of block on the corner, install wire reinforcement and bed joints. This one you'll be able to talk about it, but not something that we'll do in lab. Don't need to worry about this. And build a concrete block corner to a specified height. So some of the main differences between block and brick, I mean, if you look at them, there's just size-wise, there's a huge difference, right? If a block is that size, a brick is about like that. Concrete blocks may be more difficult to keep level on plumb, which is true. They're much heavier, they're much longer, and sometimes they require a little bit more finesse than what bricks do to get them just right. Laying bricks requires longer periods of time. That should be in here. And some of the reasons that concrete block walls are popular is time. They're fairly quick. Cost, they're on the cheaper side. And labor is saved as compared to a poured concrete wall. So before you start, make sure that any dirt, anything loose, anything that could break the bond between the mortar where you're laying and the block is taken care of. Now you can see this first bed joint he's putting down. This is very, very similar to what you do when you're laying brick. Biggest difference is that when you're laying block, although the first course that you're laying is similar to brick, one thing you don't do is do not furrow. You should dampen the footing, don't get it wet. Just take your mason's brush and sprinkle some water on it. Avoid laying concrete blocks that are very wet. Again, that'll weaken the mortar. Strike a chalk line or stretch a nylon line to align the corner. On these, you guys will be laying out a 90-degree corner. Some of you have already done this. We do this a lot. We do it in carpentry, we do it in masonry. So what we will be doing is, if you're in lab, you'll be working with a partner and you will be building a corner, right? And this has to be 90 degrees. So you can do that. You can start with a square. But ultimately, you're going to be checking for square using a 3, 4, 5. So when you're laying the first course, this course is crucial. You need to make sure that it's level, it's plumb, and you're all in line. If you're not, this sets the tone for the rest of your wall. And if this course is out of level, out of plumb, or not lined up correctly, it's going to make laying everything else more difficult. So let's say that this is your corner that you're going to be laying. You want to make sure that your block is right up against the line. Right? Now, if you were over here and you lay that block like that, and you have to bring that one back eventually, and you can see how that'll end up not being anything at all close to what you want for a nice corner. Now it's important that it's plumb, because let's say you're looking at it from the side. Let's say that this is your first bed joint that you have down. Here's your footer. If you lay your block and it's not plumb, and let's say you lay it that way, because you're like, oh, I'm good enough, I can just eyeball it. Well, then your next one, even if you want to, it's going to end up being out of plumb also. And again, that won't do anything but cause problems going up. Now, if you look at your wall from the other side, right? Let's say that this is your bed joint, and here's your footer or your floor that you're laying on. If you're out of level, now this is a little exaggerated, but it would end up looking something like that. It would look as well as my drawing does, let's put it that way. So it's always important to check the block lengthwise and crosswise. So if you're looking at the top of your block, now let's put years on it. It's important to check level this way, and it's important to check level this way on your first course. Now, in theory, if you check level both of these ways, it should be plumb, but still double check. So make sure that each course is lined up before going to the next course. After you start your first one, so when you start with your corner, right, and you're out in the field, you usually have a nail or a tack, or they'll give you an offset letting you know where to go. And you'll also be given instruction as to what the height is. So for your first course, let's say this is your footer. This is your first bed joint. Now, you'll be given a height of what this should be, and you'll be able to check the height of this using your modular ruler. So from there, you want to make sure that you have your proper height according to the layout that you're given and according to your modular ruler. So installing wire reinforcement in joints, again, we won't worry about this for this course, but this is just something that's nice to know. So you can go on this one, you could see this is the first course, second course, third course. You can go every other course with these because these are all 8-inch height, or you can go every 16 inches in height. So sometimes it could be, well, it depends. But again, don't worry too much about that. Turn a wire at the corner, and if you need to, 6-inch overlaps between sections. Make sure that the wire is bedded solidly in the mortar joint. If not, it's really no point in installing it. So some of these are very similar to what you do for your brick. The flush joint is exactly what it sounds like. So if these are your concrete block, looking at it from the side, here's your mortar, and it ends up being flush with the face, right? If you're doing a rigged mortar joint, now some of you I talked to about using a joint raker. The joint raker, you could do a rigged joint or you could do a grapevine joint, but a raked joint is recessed a little bit, right? No more than 3/8 of an inch. That's it. So again, you could see there's lots of similarities with laying a brick corner. When we go over this in lab, make sure you take your time. When you're laying your block, be careful. Remember to lay it with 2 hands. Lay to the line. Make sure everything is plumb. Make sure it's level. And be careful with the type of joints that you're finishing.